Hi, this is all Beth. All Beth. This is all booked up, and I'm Beth Hildenbrand. Tonight, our special guest is Frank Destefano. Did I say that right? I hope.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you? I think we have a little lag. Uh, oh no.
Yes.
Um, well, I was going to ask Frank if he wants to tell us a little bit about himself. I think we're going to have to. Oh, there you are.
Destefano. Yeah, you got it.
Yes, excellent. I hate when I pronounce names wrong. It's so embarrassing.
uh, it's all right. You can't always be perfect, but you try. It's all good. You got it. You got it. You're good.
Uh, oh, you've got. Is that a Jersey accent? You sound so Jersey, but you're from Illinois, right? Or Illinois? I always put the S on there. Um, well, we're spinning again. For heaven's sakes.
There we go. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to try and get Frank to tell us a little bit about himself. Hopefully, we won't do that again.
Hey,
Hi,
the world of
Anthony.
technology is all good.
Uh,
Hey, Anthony,
so
how are you?
we'll let Frank take over for a minute.
So yeah, so I'm a lifetime writer. I can't say lifetime, but I started writing so many years ago when my dad kind of encouraged me to write a novel after seeing a book. I'm sorry, a movie that I didn't like. So I was like, oh man, there's got to be some really good stuff that people could write, and voila. So I started writing, and you know. I just enjoy writing. I'm a St. Louis Cardinal fan, so anybody who's in that neck of the woods is probably happy to see. Oh man, we got a New Yorker that's a St. Louis Cardinal fan. You know, you know, you know, I like my Cardinals. I currently also work for Coca Cola as well on the East Coast on Long Island. Got my family, and then I've traveled to different Comic Cons. I've gone from MegaCon in Orlando, which is rated probably like the second or third busiest con in the country, to staying East Coast. Where else have I gone? The South, so like Virginia is probably as far as I've gone that way. Orlando is furthest as I've gone that way. I've gone to Dallas. I've gone a little all over the place, a little mixture of everything, but I try to mainly stay on the East Coast. Um, you know, just doing this, it's great. You get to meet different people, of every sort of background, and with the ideas, meeting different writers, inspiring writers, just so many people, and they're all great because they're always supporting, especially being an independent author. You want to get the support from people that see your materials. I love doing cons. It's fantastic. It's a great experience if you've never gone, which I've never gone as a fan. I hate to say it. I have friends that bust my chops. That how could you never go to a Comic Con? I'm like, I had no reason to ever go, but I've created such a following from those different areas. So like when I share all my, with my Instagram followers and my Facebook and whatever social media is where I'm posting, where I'm going, I get a lot of love and support from people. They're like, oh, when are you coming out with another book and another and another? I'm like, oh man, I got a full-time job that I try to work during the week, trying to write and trying to find time and trying to that work life balance at home, and stuff like that. So um, it's been tough, but I've been trying to find some sort of balance with that.
Yeah, it keeps you busy. You don't have spare time when you become a writer.
No, you
Uh,
don't. You
I
know.
have to, when my kids are up to something, I always have to schedule ahead, or I end up having to reschedule interviews, and then that gets crazy, and it just, no spare time, none.
No,
And
it's
now I'm heading into school, back to school time, and oh, geez, that's just, oh. So we need to say hello to everybody who has tuned in. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. Uh,
give me a little wave.
Kylie says she's been to a lot of cons, but never as an author. It's on her to do list.
Oh man, it's great. Yeah, I mean, going as it's honestly, I did Orlando by myself, and I was petrified. Petrified is the best word. That one probably did probably close to 100,000. Was my best con ever by far. Just getting the opportunities to work with different promoters and different con managers. You get to talk to people, and of course, some of my materials have done well, but like Orlando, that's on a every year list. Last year was the first year I did it. This year I'll be doing it again. It's on the must. It's not a maybe I'll do it. It's on a must to do list. I mean that con did probably close to 100,000 people in
Wow.
4 days. So it's a 4 day con. So it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I set up Thursday morning, being in Artist Alley, and man, that did probably 25 to 30,000 people a day. It was just insane. It probably did more than that. But 4 day con, yeah, it probably did 50,000. I'm sorry, my numbers were a little off. But it does New York Comic Con numbers or close to it. It's just the amount of people in the same building. Oh my God, you know, and then how I do it, because I do it by myself. People, like my friends, my wife, everybody kind of have their work schedules, and I kind of have a balance of how I could kind of work with that. Um, but yeah, I mean, sitting there by yourself, make sure you don't drink anything, because if you have get up to go to the bathroom. So I kind of figured, hey, when my mouth gets a little dry, I'll do a couple little sips, and maybe a bag of peanuts by myself. But I've kind of had a routine that when I do them, you got to kind of set yourself up. So you have like your little Stop and Shop bags of whatever peanuts or some Ritz crackers with cheese or peanuts or whatever, just something to give yourself some like boost of energy, so you don't get totally shut. Like doing it by yourself is a very mental drain, but it's fun because you meet people that are inspiring writers. I met a woman that lived in Puerto Rico, and her husband told her to go fly from Puerto Rico to Orlando. She told me like how they run Comic Cons down there, and just hearing horror stories, because if you write something bad on a Comic Con, where you do here, they always want the fan experience to be great, for whether it's fans, vendors, artist alleys, whatever, whoever goes to a con, right? Have so many selected different amounts of people that, hey, if you see something, kind of, but over in Puerto Rico, if you write something, you're blacklisted. You won't be. So there's a whole other side of things where, in the States, we want you know the um, the people that put together these Comic Cons want to make sure that the fan experience, from exhibitors to people in Artist Alley to whatever, have a great experience. And at the end of the day, that's what it is, and you're getting your stuff out there in front of it. Sometimes Amazon doesn't exactly is very helpful. I've had my struggles with that. I do more in live persons with putting it out in front of people, and people are like, oh, never seen this, never seen. Like, yeah, but that's because we're probably on the bottom of the page, of
Yeah.
Amazon. They you know Amazon is great for buying other materials, but they fair weather those big time authors and stuff like that. So the little guys get kind of knocked to the side,
Yeah, we
unfortunately.
do. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we do.
do.
Yeah, we do. You know,
And we get paid the big bucks too.
yeah, you know, but it's fantastic, but I love meeting new fans, and whenever I talk about it, whether it's, I did a Contropolis, New Jersey a few weeks ago. That was about a month ago, I guess. And then there was a boyfriend and girlfriend that were together. They were inspiring writers, and I must have talked to them for, I don't know, maybe 35 minutes, 40 minutes, and just like listening to me. And they're like, oh man, you're so insightful, you're so helpful. Not that everything works for everybody, depending upon your genres or whatever, but your different ideas, but you give someone new ideas to base off of. They're like, how do you write so quick? So my books are, fantasy, science fiction. So I have a third one coming out in September. you know and it's this is basically all I write, right? I gotta start, I try to do some suspense thrillers, but bringing that to a comic-con hasn't exactly done me wonders. But it's, I try to variety, right? We all want to try different varieties, and if you don't try, you don't know, right? I have basically a bunch of titles all lined up and stuff, but just again finding time to get to it. But when I sit down at the computer and write the Dark Legend, I could have those done in probably about 2 months, which is crazy,
Oh,
right?
bless you, hon. Jeez, I could not do that. No.
But I'm not talking about like 30 or 40,000 word manuscript. I'm talking about like a 90,000 word manuscript.
Yeah, I know. I'm reading yours now, and it's fabulous. I have to tell you, it's totally out of my wheelhouse for things I would normally read if I picked up a book, which I don't do anymore. Everything I read is indie authors, because lately, I've just been reading everybody I interview.
Right. Yeah, of course.
So I rarely have time to read, just something that I've picked up here and there. But it's fascinating to me because it's totally different from what I would read, and I am enjoying it. I really am. It's dark, which I'm a creepy chick, so I like that aspect of it.
But
Yeah, I write occult horror, so
yeah.
you got your demon in there, so that was for me. I enjoyed that. And you said you're working on your next one, so this is number 3 or number 4 of it's the Legend of the Dark Legend of the Foreigners series.
Yeah, see, it has a great ring to it. Really,
it does.
And the artwork. Listen, let's be honest. Artwork always gets attracted the potential buyer to you to see whatever you're doing. Oh, what's this about? And generally, I always, that's my good guy Anthony.
They are good and gory. Yes, yeah. I enjoyed that part. The skin coming off the head and that, ooh, yes.
But a lot of these stories, like I try to mold different, that's the idea, different genres, right? So you could get, and I try to write it from a different angle. Usually it's the angle of the story is basically, usually it's the angle from the good guy, right? So I try to write it from the master's angle. And a lot of these stories, as I develop the characters, you get to oh, something's going on. Yeah.
I have the window open. It's hot around here these days.
It's so good. But I always try to write from, I'm not giving spoilers away, but from the master's standpoint, not from someone that's look like the good guy looking on or whatever.
I was going to bring that up. I was, because I noticed that you do. And and I hate to give, I don't do spoilers. Even when I do reviews, I will not, mine are short and sweet. I don't like, some people will write a review that basically is, the cliff notes of the book. It's like, okay, why am I going to read the book? You just told me the whole story.
Yeah, of course.
And that always makes me crazy. So I try not to do that. But yeah, it's interesting the way that you tell the story, because I like to hear from the other viewpoint. And yeah, the master has kind of. I just got to the part where he's just turned 18, so you know what
Oh,
part I'm at.
okay.
And I'm like, wow, okay, this is cool. This is so cool. And you know, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm like,
It's like
okay.
I just like writing because I've read books that are usually from not the other side, right? So the story's got someplace, but it usually starts from like a character that's good. And maybe it's a cop, or it's whatever, like some type of good wizard or something, right? If you're writing fantasy and science fiction, or you're doing a hunter of some type, right? You always get from the good guy, but you never get from the bad guy's perspective and why he was like that, which I go into. You'll see more in the second one, and there's more to that. So I build on it, and you see it's more might be gory stories and whatever, but it's more build on why he was like that, why he was so angry. I guess I could say, but it is gory, but like a lot of people, like when they revisited different cons, whether it's on Long Island where I've done Cradle Con, or if I've done Fan Expos in Philly and Boston and Orlando, fans come back to me and say, "Man, that was a really good book." I've gotten people online that message me on Instagram and Facebook and whatever, and they always like, "How'd you come up with that idea?" So I tell them, "I've watched Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag." And people laugh at me,
That's
that,
terrific, though. That
but
really is.
like inspiration could come from anywhere. It could be listening to a song, could be listening to, or you see something, hey, sitting in Long Island traffic or wherever you're going on East Coast traffic. As we all know, we hate East Coast traffic. So, or traffic anywhere. Hey, you're trying to get home, you're trying to get to the family, you're trying to get to your kids, you're trying to get to a game to see your kids play, whatever it might be. You could recital, whatever, trying to go out just for date night, whatever. But like everybody always says, he's like I've never had you know never had someone that came back to me and said this was terrible. Never. you know but I mean, I've had people that are like, oh, when's the next one? So I kind of my creative juices come in. So this third one I've had for, I mean, I think I've written it since, I'm gonna say 2017. So it's been almost 10 years since I've actually dropped one. It was 2017, which was the second one, and then now it's going to be 2024. But um, so not that far off from 10 years. But so after the third one, I do a two-part book. So it's part of the same story. So that creative juices were going. I'm like, oh man, maybe I should make a two-parter. So that's what I did. So
Ah,
so it made it interesting because the same bad guy, the same character, cast of character, same bad guys basically in the second and book 4 and book 5. So it's like a continue, like it's really like I'm like writing the fifth book right now, and I got like the creative juices going at night, man. I got listening to my music with iHeart when about 9 o'clock I usually open up the computer right to 12 or so. Don't want to. Yeah, still gotta go wake up to go to work the next day. But once it's remarkable with this story. This was my first book that I ever independently published. Put it out there. It was just your first book is always will be the special one to you that connects to you, right? This
mm-hmm.
connects to me in so many ways. And I did a suspense thriller as well, called the Cody Cobb File. And like I tried to bring it to some Comic Con, something different. I got my advertisements that I bring and put on the tables and stuff. but it's very hard to sell a suspense thriller at a Comic-Con where it's fantasy and science fiction, which is a boatload of those cons. Doesn't matter what it is, But I'm trying to mix up, some book cons for, maybe thinking about book cons, more book cons for something like that. But like fantasy and science fiction, horror. I have friends that do horror comics and stuff like that, or Monster Manias, which I have yet to try. Which I know those are pretty, Maryland, Jersey, and I think Pennsylvania. I think they're really big in. But I mean, you know what? Wherever I go with that, I've done well. So, it's not that I've ever not done well. You got some cons that, maybe they're not, the traffic's not as well. Stuff happens, right? Advertisements with cons and stuff. But even if I don't, I love talking to the clientele that comes and looks, and because you just gained another fan and another fan and another fan and another and another. That's what the job of me is as the author. Being small time, you try to grow your brand, and that's exactly what you try to grow your following. I mean, the fact that so many have come, it's a risk. You go and you do and whatever, but doing book signings or meeting different clients and people or wherever, and they're so enthused and seeing something, and they're like, "Wow, we really." And people always ask me, "It's like, oh, will you sign the book?" I'm like, "Why are you asking me? I do it normally." It puts a special place. It's like a connect between the author and the person, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in the book. So it's like, why wouldn't you sign that? And I try to write something personal. Hey, thanks for coming by, whatever, something intimate that they like a little saying. It makes them feel really good about meeting an author or talking to someone and just listening. And it's that message that, that person, you could buy a book, but then you could buy a book and an author signs it that's completely different, has a different feeling to it,
Yeah, people. That's why I do the show this way. I don't have the standard, r- list of questions, and it's not a boring, dry show. I try and keep it more informal. People want to get to know their authors. They don't
Of
want to
course
hear
they
them
will.
answer the same, you know. Um,
Repetitive questions.
yes, yes, exactly. I try and have a little more fun with it, and just
But
a
see, but
nice,
that's
easy show.
yeah, but see, something like that is so loose and easy and not scripted and not this. You could, as you can see, I'm very outgoing. I'm a very outgoing personality. So, you can not ask me questions and we'll find a way of doing it. Or you could just it's the interactive with the author and the person you're interviewing. And I'm a very laid back person. So whatever would have gone, I would have made it work. But like I enjoy that. There's no more better joy than sitting at a Comic Con and talking to different people about your. I mean, it brings that inner drive, shall I say, right? That writing, why you're writing to impress and get your, I mean, that's a very deep connect with your what's the word? That was the phrase. You connect with your fans, right? Like when you try to interact with them and you interact and not that you're trying to sell it, you are, right? You're still trying to sell it, but you're interacting with fans that now have a connect to that book series and now
And
where
then, you get the word of mouth going as well, because they'll say, I met this guy and he was really awesome. You need to read his books. So
and
you're
again
not
that's
just, making, one reader. You could get 5 or 10 from this one reader because they're telling more people about you
well,
because
that's
they
what it
had that
is.
personal connection to you.
Got a nice
And
little
so that's great too. And
see.
Nina asked a question, and I have to elaborate on this question.
I
She
got
says,
it. I'll answer it. Sorry, I like it.
okay,
I
but I
just
want to know, where did you come up with the whole Japanese thing, as well as your
it
plot and
was
characters?
from what I was never like. I love Steven Seagal. I loved. So there's a couple things here. I'll get into that and I'm going to elaborate on it. So when I start doing more of the sequels, like I have, if you notice, with book one, obviously it's book one, so it's the first of its kind, right? And book two, I don't put number two, or three. I do titles. So with the third one, I'm starting to do Roman numerals. I like Roman numerals, and I get that, and I always tell people I get that from Friday the 13th because I'm a big Jason fan, right? So I always like the Roman numerals. To me, it looks cleaner, it looks crisper, right? So obviously going forward from the third one, it's going to be third, and then they have the title. Like the third one's called the Six Dark Horses. You know, number four is, I have so many stories up in my head. I can't remember the fourth title, but like they each have titles. This current one I'm working on is book five. Is called the Dark Legend Foreigner five, but it'd be Roman numerals, and it's gonna be the Dark Shogun. So that's like I always like having the titles. How do I develop my plots? I can't. I watched Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag. Nothing to do with Japanese warriors. It just came to me. I'm like, oh, maybe that's a good idea. But an ancient Japanese warrior that got frozen for 400 years and wakes up in modern day New York. Okay, how did I get that from Eight Heads in Duffel Bag? I have the slightest idea. You know, I wasn't someone that was watching like big Japanese or Asian, like martial arts and stuff like that. Wasn't really into that kind of style. I watched Steven Seagal. I would watch John Claude Van Damme and Jackie Chan, and a lot of those guys, right? And they had some great movies, but nothing where it would be focused on that Asian culture of shoguns, or that type of dynasties and stuff like that. So it just it was just weird, like how like people ask me, I'm like, how'd you get that and you turned that to the Dark Legend of Foreigner? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like, you know, I honestly, and then I was really never a big fan of, like, trying to find time to read. I would read sports books and about my Cardinals and Jurassic Parks and stuff like that. The stuff I really read was really not you know focused on that type of But I have started to watch that movie, the show Shogun on Hulu. It gave me some ideas as well for this current one that I'm working on. But none of this stuff gave me anything, and I'm like, oh, that would be a cool idea. So I don't think that was done. So when I started coming up with the idea back in 1996, I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea. That's a cool idea. I'm like, all right. And I didn't really do anything with it into 2012, 13, something like that. And then I hand wrote it. So I hand wrote it back in 96, and I think I finished it on 97 or 98, and I didn't do anything with it. It basically sat on in hard, like 5 or 6 Mead hardcover notebooks, and I didn't do anything with it. And I'm like, all right, 2012. I'm like, all right, let me do something with this. So then I looked at publishers, tried selling it after it was edited, and that's a whole another story of finding good editors, which is very hard as an independent. I had my flaws with finding terrible editors at first, but anybody who's listening, I've gone to Redzi, which is basically I've had the same editor, and she's amazing. But finding a good one is always very difficult. You know, I just write. I don't do autocorrect. I don't do grammar. I just write. That's it. Because I don't want to lose my train of thought, and that's as a writer, you want to just continue to write. Doesn't matter how red the page is. I just keep on going because hey, you're thinking of the ideas, and you work with the same editor, and they kind of have an idea of your writing ability and your flow and your storytelling, and she does fantasy and science fiction, which is perfect. So because sometimes you find an editor that doesn't do that, and editing that could be different than editing horror or drama or suspense or romance. Like how you edit stories are completely different on how they're told. So there's a lot of insight that I try, this is just, going and learning along the way. A lot of us that jumped into this field, of writing and trying to, have people come home. And I love when I hear that people love the books, because you know what I did as an entertainer? That's what we are, right? We're part of in that entertainment industry. You know, we think of entertainers as music and movies and stuff, but people get entertained by reading, as well. Whatever goes on in their life, whether it's bosses, family, kids, whatever's going on, right? You want to be able to forget about things that are really upsetting that particular person with that particular situation. So if you be able to pick up a book and read it for a few hours on a plane, or you're driving someplace with the family or whoever, or you whatever you're doing, right before you go to sleep, you're able to read a few pages or a couple of chapters. Because I know so many people, they're like, "Oh, this is a short book," because I could read it, and you know I always tell them I make short books only because I want people have daily things in their life that reading isn't like on the top of the priority list. Let's just be real. They got their families, they got work, they got to hey, their errands they got to get done. Hey, it's just the realism of life.
Yes.
So I try to make my books short, but not long. That it's like a 400 or 500 page book, which I wouldn't even go pick up, you know. I mean, the first one I think it was about 264, and I think the second one was 158. But there was a reason why I did it so short, because I'm basically setting up for the third, which I think in print it's about 315 or 320. So I'm basically setting up for like a really long and fun story, shall I say. Like I'm not giving anything away, but like like I go to New York, and the second one, I think the third one, I'm in like in South America. There's parts in South America that I am. I go to the Aztec, temples. Like I do stuff like
Ooh.
creative. So I try to think of different ideas. Like I don't want to keep on going back to New York, back to New York. Like in the second one, I go to where is it? Romania. I think there's parts in Romania, and then it goes back to New York again. So I try to mix it up in different areas, like this current area. Like I was in Japan. I've been in Japan a few times. In Brazil, where I'm writing right now, I'm in Brazil. So I try to add and expansions of different areas. Where cool, he hasn't done that. You're in different areas. So, and then obviously I've never been to Brazil, so I Google like different things, and the great internet is good and bad at certain times, but it's definitely an eye opener to different areas where you could use different things and stuff like that, which I think is 100% key. You know, I love writing, and just the ideas keep on flowing.
Hey, that's how it is. You just when you have that creative mind, you got to get it out,
you
and
know.
God bless you for it. That's how it goes. You just have to keep writing. It's something just embedded in your soul. I know
Oh,
if I don't write on a regular basis, you can feel it. It's like it's a need. You
yeah,
just have to do. It's like
yeah.
somebody give me a pen now.
It's something that you can't tell people how to do. It's something that
Yes.
it's something that, you feel that you need to do. It's, like once you start typing and thinking of ideas, and because now you connect with the fan base, and now you have those people that are now looking for those stories to come out, um, it's great seeing so many different artists, and different artists create coming out with their creativity and everything like that. That expands the horizon of the stories. I mean, my timelines are going back in the 16th century, and then the 18th century, and like going back to those periods of time where you understand, and you're not far off from like in the second one, I introduced a character. No spoiler, but I know you're probably gonna read it. And it was funny when I named her. Her name was Princess Diana. So she's introduced in the second story. Um, and there is a little cool scene, but I'm not going to tell you because it was really, really cool what I did. She's like, "You stink," you know. It was really intriguing when you get to that point. You'll get to read it out. When you're done with the first, let me know, and I'll send the second one to
And the next show you're on, I'll have read it, and you're in trouble.
you. It's I, you know, I like history. I've kind of, history is really good. We've, just as, you know, there's always going to be good and bad history throughout history. You just can't erase it, from what happening. You can only learn from certain things that we need to improve on. Listen, we could all improve on things in life, right? On how we hold ourselves, how we, hey, get mad at stupid little things, right? Which we all tend to do, right? Like, oh man, who would have done that? That was so, right? I'm like, and you just kind of roll your eyes, or then you roll your eyes. I'm like, how's that person driving on the parkway and have a driver's license?
Oh God, yes.
So.
I'm from Pennsylvania. I know East Coast drivers.
Oh, yeah. I know you are. I know you are. So that's why I said that. It's insane, right? Like, so when I've gone to different Comic Cons, you know what my biggest challenge is? Leaving New York.
I bet it is.
I went to Rhode Island with a buddy of mine that wanted to kind of go, and it was great hanging out with him. It took us 6 hours to get Rhode Island. 6 hours. And that's not really that far away, but we hit every bit of traffic that possible. It was awesome hanging out with him, and like, he does a lot of Comic Cons. He lives in the Bronx, so he goes to a lot of the Comic Cons that they have in the cities, and Manhattan, and Jersey, and Brooklyn, and wherever, right? And he's a really great guy, and he reports on all these independent authors and artists and creators and gamers or whatever they're all doing. And he focuses on like that kind of stuff, like the creators, the ones that aren't getting funded by, Marvel or DC or Warner Brothers or whatever big time publishers that's out there. Like, when I've had time to walk around and see the different artists and creators. It's just sad that, like, you have these great writers out there, and they're just thrown to the side by whomever, and they don't want to, like, oh no, I don't want to take that. I don't want to take that. It's really sad that like 5% of new writers get like a publishing contract. So because we all come up with great ideas, but the fans speak for us, right? So
yes, they do.
So like, they won't take people on, but if you are able to, this is why, like, when I keep my numbers, from year to year, I see, and I see the tracking, and I see it drastically improving each year. Like, when I go back, I said, when I started doing Comic Cons, my first Comic Con that I've ever done was East Coast Comic Con, which doesn't exist anymore. Prior to COVID, I think COVID really hurt it, but then again, it probably hurt a lot of, smaller cons and stuff like that. But, and that's where I met a good buddy of my friend Ralph, that went to Rhode Island with me, and he filmed me, and then he's like, "Man, Frank, you've come a long way from that little interview," and like, we joke about it a lot. And if I never got into this industry meeting, I wouldn't have the friends that I have in the writing community, and different other, so it brings another dimension. Besides just putting your work out there, you meet different other people and friends, and fans that always, hey, when you coming back here, when like, I get some of that, but then you get the followings of like a fan expo or a Terrificon, or or my local one on Long Island, which is CradleCon, which is great. Hey, I don't have to pay for a hotel. I'm good. But the problem with Long Island, there's not a lot. Oh, there's not a lot of Comic Cons that are on the island. So we have like two or three, and then I'm not venturing into the city. I'm good. You know, and then like there's other ones that I try to stay on the East Coast. But the fans I meet are fantastic. They've always given my books opportunities and chances, and then they come back and you create a fan. And once obviously if they pick up the book, they are interested in it, or they see it being promoted online, whether Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and then going to different areas that that you've not gone. Like I'm doing Fan Expo Chicago this weekend. Never been up in that part of the country. That's like first, and see how I do. Which I did Dallas this past year. Didn't think I'd do well. Don't know. You don't know until you do it, right? But the fans were awesome to me. So and I had other fans that just I became friends with in Dallas, or that messaged me or whatever. But having a great fan base and great fans, and you get the interactions, it takes time to build. It's not easy. It's like another full-time job, building your fan list. You're building your brand, right? It's a lot of work.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've been, just doing the writing things and for I guess 6 years now. And it is a lot of work. And I haven't even got out there and started with I guess I'm gonna start with StokerCon this year and see how that goes. So yeah.
Where's that? Never heard of that one.
It's going to be in Connecticut this year. It's with the Horror Writers Association.
Oh, okay. You're right up more your alley. Definitely. But like I could go. It's so funny. Like I have that fantasy science fiction, but that cover draws, and that could be. See, like I could go either way with that. I could do a horror con that would probably draw as well. Like I have friends that say, "Hey, you should do Monster Mania." Like
you could, because I'll tell you what, that whole thing with the 20 shoguns and the boom 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 boom, and then oh wow, yeah, I get off on that stuff. I'm sorry,
but it's like I've had different people that came up to me at different cons that they saw me. They'll always go back to like whatever con they're going to in the area. People look forward to going to those things, and when they're like, "Hey man," he goes, those books are really good. And he's like, when I get asked, "Hey, when's the new one coming out?" It's a special feeling when you get that. You can't you cannot describe that, what that feeling is. When someone has that, and then they're like, "Oh, that book was awesome," and then you get that feeling when someone comes back to you or message you, "Hey, that book was killer. That was awesome. Thank you. I really enjoyed it." I've had a few people that read it like 2 or 3 times, and they're like, "Yeah," he goes, "You're waiting too long to put out a third one," but there's no place that you could possibly describe when people say that to you.
Oh, I know what you mean. I had I woke up at 4 o'clock one morning, and I don't sleep. I sleep maybe 2 or 3 hours a night if I'm lucky, and I'm just scrolling through Instagram, and there's a video of a woman reading poems out of one of my books.
Oh, that's awesome!
And I was like, "Oh my God." She was like, this is just beautiful. This is beautiful. She's reading this poem, and I'm like, oh my God. And when you get that feeling, that it's indescribable. So I know what you mean. It's just when somebody appreciates what you do, I never do drugs, never did, so I can't tell you. But to me, it's got to be better than drugs. It's just the best
Yeah.
high in the world.
Yeah, I never touched that stuff either. So, it's just, but it's what you say. It's like getting that great high of that satisfaction that you put a smile on someone's face,
Exactly.
with the words that you're putting on the page, which isn't easy to do, you know, coming down with,
You're putting yourself out there for the whole world to see. This is me,
yeah.
and so yeah, it's something else when somebody appreciates it, because yeah, it is pretty much your soul that you're putting there on the page, and when somebody gets it, it's the best feeling ever.
Oh man, I can't wait for the fans to see. So I'm doing the end of September. I'm doing Fright Reads Book Festival, and I believe that's in Maryland. I hope these guys are watching and they're like, "Hey, you don't know where you're going? You wouldn't be the first time." Um, but like those guys are really good. I saw it last year and I wasn't able to go because I kind of like they were sold out. And man, it's basically like it's different types of books, but fantasy. But like that's what I'm trying to look at. So I'm definitely trying to bring Comic Cons are great, but I'm trying to mix it with some book fairs. And, there was one on Long Island that I kind of missed out on and I just happened to see it. But I'm like, oh man, I had something going on that weekend, and I didn't know about it. So like I try to find like the local book fairs or, something in Jersey or Pennsylvania or, these local book fairs that I could easily, 2-hour drive. I could just go and be like, and go to fans. And East Coast is very easy to drive to just about anywhere between Boston and Rhode Island and Pennsylvania and Philly. Well, even though your state's very large,
Yeah, it is.
but I mean, there's so many. I mean, you go into Philly, you go into Pennsylvania, and in Pennsylvania, it'll take you, driving through the whole state. I think I drove it a while ago. I think it took about 8 or 9 hours to drive through that.
Yeah, it can take a while. It's a very long state.
Well, I mean, you're probably more at the beginning, like going towards Pittsburgh is like 8 or 9. I drove to St. Louis. So when I was younger, I'm a Cardinal fan. So we drove and it took about 17 hours. I'm like, oh, never again, never again. But I mean, we headed to St. Louis. We had to drive through Pennsylvania. We had to basically took the Pennsylvania Turnpike all the way into I think it was all the way into St. Louis. I think we went. But
The turnpike can bite me. I hate that turnpike.
yeah, I'm sure you do. you know, But
And
then
now
again,
they keep raising the prices and raising the prices. I'll give you my firstborn son before I will pay those turnpike prices anymore. Good Lord, have mercy.
yeah, well, they keep on raising them, and nothing else goes up. Prices and what they're fighting with New York with the congestion tax and with this and this and that and this.
Yeah,
It's like you guys don't make enough money. You just don't handle the money right. That's the problem. That's why they keep on raising. Not like But
amen.
You're
preaching to the choir, hon.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me. I mean, I don't. I'm thankful that I don't drive into Manhattan every day, which I don't. I live on Long Island. I work on Long Island, so I'm good. Like even when I've gone to like Boston or Rhode Island or Connecticut for that matter, there's a ferry. Just hop on a ferry, take my hour and a quarter, or whatever it is, right across to the ferry. It's fun, man. I love doing them. They're enjoyable. I can't wait to see what type of fans I'm going to meet in Chicago. So I'm going to be like 45 minutes away from the city. So, which that's probably a really good thing. Because if
I would think so. It doesn't sound too safe there these days.
No, if it was actually in the city of Chicago, there's no chance I would have ever done it.
I don't think that'd be a good place to visit lately.
No, safety to me is, that's highly important. Listen, things could happen to anybody at any place at any time, but you just want to,
That
um,
doesn't mean you're walking into trouble.
no, 100%, but you just got to keep your nose clean, and just, like, Orlando, Philly, Boston. I've walked wherever, just, like those, like we all have our spotty parts in the cities and stuff, but I felt safe wherever I walked. And, for the most part, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary that you wouldn't from walking down any street, So, hey, and if I don't know the area, Uber it, But like when you're doing a convention, you're basically there to sleep, and that's it. Get breakfast before you go, and that is it. It's not, it's not brain surgery. You're there at a convention for 20 plus 25 hours, you know. Um, and that's what you do. You're selling your materials, you're selling yourself, you're doing whatever you need to be doing, to create new fans. You're a salesman, before anything else. That's You're a salesperson, you're selling yourself, you're selling your materials. That's what you're doing. But also you're connecting with fans that now appreciate your work. And this is where
Yes.
just, and that at the bottom, at the end of the day, that's the greatest satisfaction that people can tell you. You have people buying your material, looking at your stuff, whether it's a poster or, you know, I mean, when I do my cons, I said I sell 2 for 30. When I have the third book, I'm going to sell them 3 for 50. But 2 for 30 for 2 paperbacks and a poster you get. I got a bunch of
Oh,
other
that's a
stuff
good
that.
deal.
Well, I'd say it's a good deal, and people usually jump on it. Because it's probably going to cost more with shipping from Amazon. you
Yes, it
know,
is.
you
The
know.
prices they make us sell for is just outrageous. But we should probably wrap this up.
I, I'll be talking. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm like
Oh
one of those
no,
people
hon,
that
that's fine.
just
Um,
yapping. Yeah.
but we've been at it for an hour, so yes, we should probably wrap it up. I'm going to say I'm sure Frank will come back and answer any questions we didn't get to. And let's see, we're going to have you back again next month.
Yes.
So yes, we can finish this because I had like a whole sheet of things I wanted to talk to you about that we didn't get to. And we won't be having a show this Saturday. I got some family things. But the next Saturday, we will have Rebecca Schlager. She's wonderful. So everybody tune in for that one. And I have one big announcement. My baby turns 18 years old tomorrow. So happy birthday, Matthew.
Oh, that's awesome. Happy mom. Mama's happy, happy. Wow.
He's
You
my
know,
last one out of 5 boys, and he's hitting
oh,
18.
God
So
bless you. God bless you.
I know, right? So thank you, Frank, for being on the show. You were terrific. It was a
Oh, thank
great
you.
to have
Thank you.
you. Thank you to my Nina for taking care of everything like she always does. She is my right hand and my left hand and my
Every
brain
can.
most of the time.
No,
And
she's been great too. You've been great, having me on, inviting me on. I greatly appreciate, you, us, connecting and everything. So it's been fantastic. And then definitely I'll come back on in September, and, give you an update how Chicago was and everything like that.
oh
That's,
yeah, I got to hear about it.
so I'll keep you guys in the loop and, I'll send you guys messages and stuff like that. So, and
Yes,
you
don't
guys,
be a stranger.
I won't. Well, you guys follow me, so you guys will see where I am. And I don't hide. It's not hard to find. Not when you put yourself out there. It's not hard to hide from anybody.
I try sometimes, but it never works.
No, it doesn't. I get back to people eventually, but but it's I'm very happy that I met you guys. You guys are awesome. You're doing wonderful work with everybody and having people on, and that's not unnoticed. So
Thank you.
so we many people that I'm sure are very grateful for you doing this. So continue doing that and continue writing, continue being who you are. And, I always tell people, always leave with a smile. Sound like
Yes.
Heath Ledger. Smile.
Okay, I'm going to say bye-bye, everybody. Love you.